Let's talk a little bit more about layers and groups and how to use them. So here's my cute little drawing of a rabbit and rainy clouds coming in. So I have, let's hide my history by using these two right pointing arrows to hide that menu. And I'm actually going to make the layer menu bigger so we can see them at all times. For me, something that has been very useful to learn is to name layers. It's a habit sometimes I fall out of, but it's very useful when it comes to changing or editing things. So I've made a few different layers here. Something that is useful also to know is there are folders or groups. So down here in the very bottom right, there is this little manila folder icon. And when you hover over it, it says create a new group. So I'm going to click that. You can see now it's populated this group 1 folder and a little downward arrow showing I can either collapse or show. So collapse all of the layers, or to hide them or to show them, click again. But since I have nothing in this folder or this group, there's nothing showing when I toggle that. So what I'm going to do is click this bottom layer, second bottom layer, test. I'm going to hold on the keyboard with my other hand the shift key, and then I'm going to tap the base layer because I want all 4 of these layers selected at once. And just using my pen, I'm going to press down or click, and you'll see this little hand appear. And I'm going to take the hand and drop these into the group. So now these layers have been hidden from sight, and I can actually untoggle them and show them nested within that group. You can add groups within groups. You can get pretty elaborate, but I also like to hide any layers that I'm not currently working on, or layers that are like tests or scribbles or sketches or doodles like these are. Another thing to know about groups is that you can also toggle their visibility. So I've just turned on all these test layers underneath my image, and I actually want to hide them as well as collapse the group. So I'm going to click the eyeball up here for the group itself, and now you'll see that the eyeballs are sort of grayed out, meaning that if I click again and show the group, that all of them will be visible. But if I click again, they get grayed out and they sort of disappear from sight. So I will collapse this again, and I'm actually going to double click this word group 1 to rename it. This is something that's just kind of like management of layers, a little bit of organization. Whatever works for you, go for it, but it's been very helpful for me over the years to get into this habit. So another thing that I did was, in making this image to sort of keep playing around and showing you guys all the features, is I did a little bit of coloring, added some more things, redrew things. One thing that I did was add this white layer underneath my rabbit. So if you actually hide this layer up here called Rabbit Under, that's just sort of the naming mechanic that I use when I have a layer of color underneath some line art, is Rabbit Under. So if I toggle that, you can see that the rabbit layer is at the very top, so it's above all these other layers, but since there's only the black lines and no other colors, you can see the layers below it come through. So I went in and I added this white shape underneath to sort of give it opacity. And if you actually hide all of these layers, and then also hide the background layer, so you take away this white to show the transparent pixels, and zoom in, that this white is actually just below the rabbit line art. And actually, getting closer to it, I can see, looking at this gray and white checker pattern, that I actually missed a small spot, and I'm going to quickly fix that by, I just hit the letter I for the eyedropper. So now what I can do is I can take the eyedropper and just quickly grab white into my foreground color here. You can see the color picker changed. And now I'm going to hit the B for brush, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the correct layer. So if you hit the B for brush layer or click the brush tool, you'll get this sort of like circle with a line through it, indicating that you're currently not on any available layer. So if I click on clouds, I get the same because that layer is actually toggled off or invisible and you can't add pixels to that. So I'm going to select my correct one and fill that with a little bit of white. Don't need to be perfect, but good to know that you can check by putting something on a transparent layer. So I'm going to bring back my background. I'm going to zoom back out. And now I'm going to toggle my grass under layer so you can see this green and my grass. So one thing that's helpful also, if you want your rabbit line art and the white to be one layer, you can do something called merge layers. So I'm going to select rabbit and rabbit under, and while they're both selected and both visible with the eyeballs, I'm going to right click. And now right clicking brings up this whole new menu, and there's a lot of useful things within this menu. But right now we're just going to focus on merge layers. So I'm going to go down and select merge layers. It's important that you select the very top one that says merge layers because merge visible and flatten image are very different. So merge layers. And now you can see that the topmost layer called rabbit actually is melded with the other. So if I toggle it, the rabbit disappears completely, and the file name is now, or the layer name is now converted to the topmost layer's original name. And I'm going to do the same with all of these different layers that say, actually I'm going to do it with grass and grass under. I'm going to merge these. So now grass is also a single layer. I'm going to leave the others so I can show you guys a few new tricks with fills and gradients in the next video. But yeah, that's the basics of layers and groups. And just for being thorough and organization's sake, I'm going to go through and sort of finish organizing my layers.